So today we have a 3-man crew working. Keith, you're going to be our operator. Ben, you're going to be our groundsman. Any LZ communication is going to be to you two. We have a comms issue today, so he's going to be on hand signals for you. You and I are going to be on Cinecomms. I'll be the climber. Our aerial rescue plan is to call in fire department. We don't have an aerial rescue on site, so we're going to have to call in resources. So we've already been over the first aid for the day. This is our job site. We're going to be doing some clearing on the right side of the property here. We're going to be using a crane for efficiency today. We're going to be hoisting the climber so we have rated anchor points since we had an area that was logged. And also due to the amount of transitions that had to be made by the climber, it's just not going to be conducive to being efficient and not tiring me out. We have an aggregate driveway here. That's obviously going to be our first hazard we're going to look at. We're going to need to do something with cribbing to come off the side. We've got some pine here so we can bridge. We do have sprinkler heads we're going to have to watch out for. Crane's going to come down and in and then back up. So we're definitely going to have to bridge this gap here. You can see the driveway's already been cracked where they've got expansion joints put in there. So just be careful of that. Most likely we will pop the driveway further. So we should know that going in. The homeowner's aware of that. It's signed in our contract. We're good. All right, so from here, we'll bring our crane in his way. Our area of focus for the day is going to be this vicinity here. Obviously, we have some elevation changes. So Ben, mind your elevation. Chipper's going to be downhill, so mind your elevation going to the chipper. We do have a mini loader we can be using to move material, but just be careful when you're walking downhill toward downhill chipper, not to have a slip and trip hazard. The soil we're looking at is a clay soil, so we're looking to be somewhere around the 50 psi load, no more than 50 psi. We don't know about underground vaults or voids. We're clearly 1.5 times distance, so we're good there. Throughout the day, though, Ben, if you find any type of leach line or any old caps or any old thing, let us know. We definitely want to make sure we're set back 1.5 times our known depth. If it's an unknown depth, we're going to go 4 times the widest part of our outrigger pad, which is a 2 foot. So we're going to go 4x2, 8 feet from it will be our setback, just so we don't collapse anything. Are we good with that?
Good.
All right, we'll start here, put the crane here, we'll work here. We're going to take this tree first. We're going to hopefully do this in 2 picks because we need to clear our LZ. Our LZ is going to be here to the right. So we're going to start here, hit this one, and then this one, and we'll work from there and kind of work down.
Very good.
Our max weight pick we're looking at is 1630 is max load, full reach. I don't think we'll be at full reach today at all. Shortest max load is 9700 according to chart. So 97 is what we're good for. Slings aren't though. So slings are good for 4500. So that's going to be our cap today. Single line slings is going to be 4500 pound load. We're going to do 2 slings on everything, no matter what. But that's our max cap is 4500 pounds. All right. Any other questions about that real quick before we do a quick survey of the trees?
Well, we did say that once we get the crane set, we're going to delineate our drop zone landing zone with either cones or caution tape.
Absolutely.
So we'll have a clearly delineated drop
Ben's
zone
going to
landing
handle
zone.
Taping that off and also creating our entrance and exit zones for that.
And once we get the crane set and the chipper in place, then I'll be able to set that up.
Right.
I'll know where all my.
We don't know that exactly until we have those things set.
Exactly, yeah. Obviously, looking around the property here, we've got some construction injuries to these trees. I've noticed several that have got large wounds at the bottom of the tree that have been compartmentalized. So we obviously have an old compartmentalized wound here. So we're going to have some issues, being that most of them are oaks and they're most aged oaks. We're probably going to expect to find some ants in them and find some rotted out areas. So we're going to be careful of that. I'm running a 16-inch bar today, so the size of the bar for the tree should be fine. And we got big ground saws. So I don't see any need to do any cut from one side, cut to the other type stuff. We should be able to cut from one side and keep it one-sided. But other than that, obviously my biggest issue is gradient here. Just we got a lot of loose stone. That's going to be one to cause trip and fall hazards. So be careful of that.
Looks like we have a bucket mark here also
Yep.
in our root zones.
Yeah, I see that. I know there's a bucket mark on that big tree over there. There's a big excavation mark there. We've got some damage on some of the cedars here. So we've had some construction damage. Obviously the grade's been lowered down. This looks like at one time it was covered with leaves. The leaves have been pulled out now, so we're going to have some settlement issues. That's a pretty big change. So just be mindful of that. We shouldn't be dynamically loading anything, so there shouldn't be any need for any torsion loads. So we should be good there.
We're in a grove of trees. I haven't noticed any trees hanging in any other tree. I haven't seen any large hangers in any trees yet.
We got a few dead tip ends.
Dead tips, yeah.
Yep, but nothing that's not normal for that tree's age. That's normal tree growth for that age of the oak.
The only larger deadwood I saw was back off the edge.
Right. I can see a big decayed branch on a white oak back there.
I suspect our furthest reach will be to about here. probably be it for the day, just because of where our setup's going to be. It's one thing a lot of people don't think about when they're working with a crane sitting above their work site is now for every 10 feet below grade you go, you have to figure in the load line weight. And we have to get that in the chart on what the load line weight's going to be. So it's something we definitely need to be mindful of. I think we're good with job briefing. We all have assigned roles. We know our known hazards.
Right.
We know our address is 11 Persimmon Ridge Court in Defiance, Missouri. That's going to be our call for 911. If we have 911 coming in, make sure we're securing our patients, securing our site, shutting all equipment off, and making clear area for them to get in here. We're going to have a lot of congestion with vehicles, so we need to make sure that's clear.
All we wanted to explain here before Travis goes up in the air is that in order to be hoisted, the Z133 standard requires 2 points of attachment to the crane. His primary point of attachment is going to be this rigging that he has set up above the headache ball here, to which he attaches his climbing line. And secondarily, he's going to put his lanyard through the hook above these slings.
With using the tree motion saddle, when you go into the vertical suspension, you have to move from the upper Ds to the lower Ds. The lower Ds are rated in the vertical suspension, where the upper Ds are not. So I'll run my line very similar to that. My climbing system, I'll take it off my side. I'll move it to my bridge. I'll go through my rings. And then I'll put a scaffold knot, a double scaffold knot here as my attachment point. And that's simply round around, through and through. And that's it right there. And now I'm ready to fly at this point. Cinch that up tight, and I'm good to go. I've got my 2 points of attachment. With the slings we're using today, we're using Teufelberger Mark Chisholm crane sling kits from New England, or Teufelberger rope. They are dead-eye slings, so you can see down here on this end, there is no eye attachment. It's a single eye attachment up front, and I'll be hard tying onto the tree with a variation of different types of hitches and knots today.
I guess one thing we should mention there is because of the relatively small size of the bowl in this hook, we're only able to use 3 slings in here comfortably.
We have 6 slings with us, and generally we like to put all of our slings on there, so we have the versatility in the tree to use whatever we need to. But because of our tip height today, we've opted to go with just 3 short slings instead of 2 long ones and a short one, or any variation of that. This system here is what I'll be using as my climbing attachment. This is ISC steel double locking carabiners with captive eyes to epicord that is hand spliced and then lock stitch spliced the whole way down to 2 ISC rings. All right, and what these do is this goes on the load line in opposing fashion. So the gates are in an opposing way, so nothing can prevent them opening. Because we have captive eyes, we can come down, and now my load line is going to be below my point. All right, and that's going to help keep me away from all of this rigging area here.
Okay, so throughout this job, we're going to be using a crane to hoist a climber into the tree. Now, technically, in all 50 states of the Union, unless you can defend that practice, that's an OSHA violation. Hoisting a climber with a crane is prohibited. What we have to be able to show clearly is that it's the only feasible way to do that work, or the safest way to do that work. So what we're looking at in a site like this is going through a mental checklist of alternatives to hoisting a climber with a crane and routine or systematically eliminating what those different alternatives. Alternative would be climbing. There are a lot of side branches on these trees, a lot of adventitious branches that would make climbing and repositioning all the way up the tree very problematic at best, very fatiguing. So I think we can eliminate climbing as a viable or feasible alternative. Also, using a lift on most of these trees would be infeasible just because of the height to which you'd have to get to set the chokers or set the slings wouldn't be possible with strictly with a lift. So we can eliminate that possibility as well. And I think we're good using the rated strength of the crane to hoist our climber.
I'm going to go through my daily inspection of the crane. Whenever we have a piece of equipment like this, we're going to have some different inspections to do. Our frequent inspection, being our daily and monthly inspections, and then our periodic inspections, or typically known as our annual inspection. We're going to be doing our frequent inspection here today, our daily inspection. We have several items that we're going to look at. There's some, I have a list here from PM Crane of the items they want us to check. And what we're going to do by checking these off is we're creating a document that we have documented that we have done this inspection. I've got my name on here as the operator, today's date, I've got the unit number and model, along with the time that we're doing this inspection. So we've got our list here. I'm going to check some of these items off. We checked for the load chart and the warning placards being in place. Hydraulic oil level is good. No visible hydraulic leaks. All fasteners, safety locks, boom pins, keepers are in place and tight. All structural components inspected visually for cracks and wear. Also on here we've got pallet forks, rotators, grapples if applicable. The load hook we looked at on the other side. Under load hook it talks about stretch, wear, and the safety latch is in place. So we'll check that one off. One of the things I looked at on that, I checked the hook for twist. We want to make sure it's not twisted to each side, that it's not stretched open. Hydraulic levels return to the neutral position. There are a set of manual controls. If we were to get up there under this cover up there, we won't be using those, but that's something on a regular basis. Check those, make sure they return to the neutral. In our case, I'm going to be operating the radio remote, so we'll check those ones. And that's on down here. Remote control levers return to the neutral position automatically, so we'll check those in a little bit. And all emergency stop devices operating properly. Again, once we fire this up and we're moving the booms, we'll be able to check those, along with our warning lights, audible warnings being operational. Other work area pre-inspection. We already did a work site evaluation, but some of the items that they have on here, a big one, watch for energized sources such as overhead or underground. We've already discussed the fact that this has underground utilities coming in. But if we did have overhead electrical conductors, any kind of a conductor, whether it's a phone line, cable TV line, or the power coming into the house, we'd want to be aware of that around the boom. Confirm stability and that the ground is firm and level. We talked about that in our pre-job briefing. We're going to be moving the crane in a little bit and we're going to reset it. So once again, we may have to move some soil to get the outriggers down. And secure the work area, whether we're using safety cones or the ribbon like we are. So we're going to have to adjust that a little bit once we reposition the crane. And again, we're in communication. This is a three-man team. So when Travis is in the tree, Ben is on the ground, and I'm operating the crane, we'll all be on our comm systems and be able to talk together. And we've already gone over our hand signals that we may need to use also. And that about completes the overall view of the crane here.
We just wanted to talk briefly about the soil's load-bearing capacity relative to our crane's footprint and the pressure it puts on the ground. All right, so here we're working on a clay soil, a heavy clay soil. We look in a load chart, we get a rough reading of a clay soil's load-bearing capacity is going to be about 43 psi, pounds per square inch. We know our crane is putting 23 psi down, so we're well within the capacity of this soil to bear the weight of the crane. Interestingly, if we move to the other side of the driveway where there's an undisturbed clay loam layer, the soil bearing capacity is roughly 22 psi. So on the other side of the driveway, we'd have a problem that we would have to deal with extended cribbing or blocking under our crane footprint to bear up the weight of the crane. But over on this side, we're fine.
So we went through the hand signals that Ben and I discussed, where if he wants me to use the jib, he's going to tap his forearm prior to me, and then he'll give me the next signal of what he wants me to do. So in other words, if he wants me to jib up, he's going to tap his forearm and tell me to boom up with that jib. If he wants me to go up with the main boom, he'll tap his bicep and tell me up. So
That's very, very, very good and easy to understand.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're ready to get to work.
I think so too.
All right.
very good.
I'm going to use Logweight Pro. Logweight Pro will let us pick the species, the diameter, and we do 10-foot increments. So I know 10-foot increments is 514 pounds. That limb is going to be 40 feet. So all we got to do is multiply that by 4, and then we get where we're at. Okay, so we're looking at about that pick should be roughly around 2,200 pounds.
We just wanted to take a quiet moment to explain the caution tape and also talk a little bit about the personal protective equipment that we're all wearing. We're using caution tape to delineate what we call the pedestrian control zone, and this is the area, also some people refer to it as our work zone, the area underneath our trees that we want to keep bystanders and walkers through out of for safety's sake. Anywhere within this caution tape is potentially an area where there's a struck by a hazard. So only authorized folks are allowed within that area. As far as personal protective equipment or PPE is concerned, under Z133 standard, the employer is required to assess a worksite for hazards and assign appropriate PPE. Virtually for all arboricultural operations, there are 2 pieces of PPE that everybody needs. We have to have a hard hat, a rated hard hat, and we have to have rated hearing or eye protection. Other things we may need, if we're running a chainsaw on the ground, we need chainsaw leg protection. And if we're working around noisy equipment, chainsaws and chippers and other types of equipment like that, then we need hearing protection as well. There could be other items of PPE needed, but those are the main ones. Eye protection and hard hats in all cases.
So working on the ground, one of the big things I'm going to take care of is all the saws. I've got my ground saws for doing groundwork and our bigger saws for working on our bigger trees and doing our final cuts down at the base. I'm going to go through all these saws, make sure that our tension's right, that we've got fuel, that we've got oil, that they're running well, that that we're able to idle, that we're able to throttle up with no problem, no coughing, no sputtering, and do all that before we start work, so that when the climber and the crane operator are set up and ready to go, there's no waiting. We're ready to go. The biggest thing that's important for that is my climber saw. Because the biggest holdup that we can have is him to get up in the air and all of a sudden his saw is not working. So I'm just going to real quick fire up my climber saw, make sure that it's running well before I send it up to him.
All right, we've confirmed. All right, I'm ready to fly.
Okay. I am going to start winching up.
All right, prepare to winch. All right, I'm good.
So we're at right now, Travis, we're good for 4,560 pounds.
Oh, we can do the whole branch then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still think let's do it in 2. I'll make it easier for Ben. That sun is bright.
Yeah. Got some dead wood back here.
Yep,
by
I
the
see it.
boom.
Small dead wood. Keep going a little bit more. 3, 2, 1. Hold right there.
Okay.
All right, now boom up and extend. Upper boom up and extend out.
So the ground crew right now is helping Travis estimate how, that he's well below center of gravity, where exactly he should make his cut. It's a little harder for him to estimate in the tree, but with standing back from it, you get a much clearer idea of the proportions, if you will, where the slings are attached to where the intended cut's going to go.
All right. Are we good with that?
I am good with that. So
First
at this
mentioned
point,
we're
Confirm
gonna
with
get
Peter.
a little boom deflection on
So,
this particular pick.
Peter, we're going to confirm this, that we are looking at 3 extensions out on the jib, that we are right here with 3 extensions out, that we are good for 4,560 pounds. We
Okay.
extended out to get plumb.
Okay. Pete just said, if you didn't hear, we have 3 extensions out on the jib, the top part of the boom there, and with that extensions in this configuration, we're good for 4,560. And again, we're picking roughly 1,000.
What I'll do, Keith, for a cut,
Yep.
I'm going to do a slight shelf cut, the back
Okay.
cut towards me, so give me a buffer
Yep.
that I can brace and let you pull it towards the crane.
Very good.
Okay. Are we all clear? Ready to cut. You ready?
Yeah, I am ready.
Travis starts his cut on the what we call the bad side.
All right, you said he's coming towards me. You bring it back towards you.
Okay, I'm going to boom this up a little.
Okay. Don't need to go back towards you. Still coming towards me.
Okay.
Waiting for the crane to take some of the
Don't need to come towards you.
compression out of the
Right there.
cut, out of the curve.
Ready?
Just
Yep.
do a little bit of a snap cut from the back side.
You have it. It's free. Gonna roll.
Yep, I'm
Right.
just
Free and clear.
And away it goes with minimal movement.
gonna boom up a little. Booming up and winching down.
You're right on top of me at this point. You're gonna need to swing it. Please. Thank you, kind sir.
Yep. Travis, can you see that limb that's hanging up there? I'm gonna raise up out of that.
I think you are clear if you go boom up and cable down. Yeah, you're clear there to cable down. Yep.
One limb on the back coming towards you. Looks like it'll clear you.
Okay, I'm clear all the way. Then be careful getting underneath it like that. Let's lay it on down. I feel like that was a very good pick, gentlemen.
Nice and smooth. Alright, I'm getting the signal to hoist up from Ben, so I'm going to draw these slings. Some of them are wrapping through that limb.
I'm gonna put a second attachment point on.
Okay.
I'm good and secured. Clearing the deadwood out. Small sucker to me, sorry. Deadwood. Alright.
Alright, be aware there is a small hanger where it looks like where your climbing line goes over on that other limb.
Okay. Alright. Another shelf cut.
Very good.
Weight here. I'd say 20-foot section, 1,600 pounds.
Yep,
Alright, Ben confirms. You're good.
we are good with this. We have estimated 1,600 pounds.
Okay, the estimate on this pick is 1,600.
Alright, beginning of that back cut. I do believe you have it.
Alrighty.
Set down in the cut. I'm gonna sit right here in case you don't.
I am going to winch up a little, but I am ready to rotate also.
Alright, I'm in a safe position. Go to the lift. May still need a little bit more cut on the back so I can't see. Keep lifting. Alright, so we're going to V-cut it
Alright.
this way and this way.
Alright.
Alright, maybe pull it out. Good for the landing zone. Are you pre-tensioned already?
I did. You are off and retied.
Yep, I am retied, double tied in. Are you good to cut?
I am going to tension just a hair. I'm going to
Cut.
back it off. Right there, yeah.
All right,
Good
you're
with
good?
that. Yeah.
Ben, you're good?
I'm good.
Okay.
We know that hickories are real fibrous trees, so if we leave any fiber on this particular tree, we'll know it real quick.
Ready?
Yep.
You ain't got enough tension on this yet. Just a little more tension on it.
All right.
Put a little more tension on it. A little more.
Yep.
All right. It's doing a lot. You got what? All right. Go ahead and lift it up now.
Six. And 3.
Okay, well, we're beginning a new day on our crane job here, and every new day of work begins with a new job briefing because circumstances change. We're going to be resetting the crane in a different location, obviously working on different trees than we did yesterday. We're going to be working with the crane in a different configuration. We're not using the load line today. We're going to be using it as a straight knuckle boom crane. So that brings a whole new set of challenges with it, or things to consider at least. We talked a little bit yesterday about the PPE that we're using, and that's part of our job briefing, is to determine what PPE is needed. It's pretty standard: hard hats and eye protection, hearing protection when we're around the loud equipment, and chaps or chainsaw leg protection when we're running a chainsaw on the ground. That's the standard stuff. One thing we're doing that goes a little above and beyond with our crew today, me being the exception, is we're wearing high-vis apparel. And that just helps our perception and recognition of one another on the job site. Just increases our overall awareness of others' presence and proximity on the job site. So that's just an additional measure we'll take. Anything else you want to add to that?
Well, we're going to be repositioning the crane today over here to work the other sectors of our job site. Our soil type's going to be the same. So we're still doing with clay soil. We know our capacities are good with that. It's going to take a little bit more work to get the crane in position. Once we do get in that position, we're going to do an inspection of the crane because we're starting a new day. Our safety procedures are still the same. We have all our underground utilities have been marked already by 811. So all those have been marked. So we have no overhead electrical worries, but we do have underground. We do have a propane tank we're going to be working near today, so we need to be cognizant of that. We don't want to damage that, of course.
Yep.
We do have the address, so we know where we come to if we have an emergency. We have a plan. We have first aid kits, and we have that already assessed.
Yeah.
So I think we're good, ready to get to work.
I'm glad you mentioned the 811 call. That happened about 10 days prior to the job, and all the underground utilities were marked. And thankfully for us, none of those underground utilities happened to be in the area, in the immediate work area, so they were not of concern. But it was important to go through that step to determine exactly where those things were, so we knew what we needed to do, if anything. And as you said, we do have a propane tank that will be somewhere close to our work area today, so that's a consideration.
One thing that as we change our work area today, me as the ground tech, I'll be adjusting my work zone. I'll be adjusting our exclusion zone where we're keeping anybody who's not working out.
Mm-hmm. One point we didn't make up to this point was one of the key considerations in a crane job worksite scenario where we're trying to position our chipper relatively close to the immediate work area, to the area where the stuff is coming down, just for efficiency's sake, if you will. We have to be cognizant 100% of the time of the position of the climber's line on the ground relative to the brush we're chipping, and to make sure we keep some separation and prevent, obviously, from feeding a line into a chipper and creating a real catastrophic situation. So that's just one thing where we really have to keep our mind in the game all the time to make sure we mitigate any hazards associated with that.
I'm glad you bring that up, and that's one thing that we talked about while we're wearing our Sena comm systems. We're able to talk. So as a climber in the tree, if I see that my ground tech here is pulling brush, I can mind him, say, hey, Ben, you got my line in there. Or the crane guy, if he's got a piece, hey, Ben, you got overhead deadwood above you, be careful. So the comm system really helps with that. But we also have the backup. Because we're on a knuckle boom, our crane operator and our ground tech have already handled some hand signals that are unorthodox to regular crane work. So that changes things. We don't have an ASME, B30.5 list yet of hand signals for knuckle booms. So we've had to adapt a little bit, and we've gone over those. If you guys want to talk about those some a little bit.
Well, just whatever that system is, as long as you guys, the two of you, or the three of you actually, have one consistent set of hand signals that you can use, sometimes to supplement the comm system, and sometimes, in the case that a comm goes down, you have to have a backup.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm going to bring it down a little.
Keith, can you confirm 2 points of attachment?
All right, we have the climbing line secured via bridge, and that is through your device. And then through the hook, we have your lanyard. You do have 2 points of attachment.
All right, I'm good to hoist.
All right.
Going on right there. Good. Hold there. Okay, I'm coming off the crane hook.
All right.
Briefest explanation of what we're doing right now. There's a saying in the industry when learning something, and it applies to aerial operations. When learning, go low and slow. And the upshot of that is be conservative.
Attach it to the tree.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I get that happy now. Way up.
That's how you know I'm feeling better.
There, it's hard to work.
All right, now we're gonna go back to that retract a little bit.
Retracting a little bit.
Keep retracting. And right there. Okay. Yep, that's good. Coming all the way to the ground.
Yep. So when you cut this one, it's going to roll into it.
Yep. I'm actually going to I'm going to do a V cut.
Yep.
And then we're going to slowly let you kind of retract it up, retract it up, retract it up, retract it up, and walk its way out.
Just retracting the jib to walk it out.
Retract and up at the jib. You have to go kind of back and forth.
Yep.
Just kind of walk it out of there. Let me get all my gear off. Rope coming out. Clear.
Okay, heads up this way, because this thing's going to swing just a little bit toward us.
Look at this brush off the bottom first.
Yep.
In my area. So it's going to be kind of a modified V. I'm going to cut a flat front with a little bit of a notch in it front. So I'm going to notch the front a little bit, and then I'm going to cut the back side, and we'll let it kind of lay into it, and let you pull it out.
Very good.
back.
Very good.
Delay. All right. Gonna rotate. Yep, I know. All right.
I think it might have room.
Let me cut the last little bit of fiber. All right. It is clear. What you're gonna do is you need to kind of suck in. Nope. Retract in. If you retract in, you'll capture it. And now up. There it goes. You've got the piece. So watch your tip. Watch your tip. Retract in. Keep retracting in. Now you can begin your swing.
You're clear.
All right, I'm in a good position to cut. We good to cut?
I think you are. So I'm going to start my control.
Let me know when you're ready.
I am ready.
That cut? Cut. You got it.
Okay, I'm going to raise the main boom.
That? You feel go up in the upper boom.
It may have broken, but your cut's still quite strong.
I'm telling you, I can see it's broke. We're good. Just take your upper jib up. And that'll help lift the piece out. Keep upper jib up. It's easy.
Perfect.
Very nice.
All right, I'm coming out.
All right.
Piece is clear of me.
You are clear.
Coming to the ground.
Top is rotating towards you.
Travis got it. And that he's relinquishing control over direction to Ben, the ground person. Operation is more of a ground operation.
Main boom in.
Lower, the lower boom.